All right, I've made mention of Isabella Greene before. I think I first heard of her a month or two ago, and I first heard her story. And the reason I'm bringing her up is because she's getting a lot of exposure right now. She's got less than 9,000 subscribers at this point. I'm sure that's jumped up dramatically in the I can't say it, past few months. She's going to be at 90,000 before long. She's shooting high. She's getting endorsed by David Icke. She's like a David Icke part two, or she's telling people how to get out of the soul trap. And she's like on everybody's little interview podcast. All the big YouTube channels are interviewing her. They're endorsing her book and just pushing her message. Now, from the first time I heard her, I was feeling some cautions on the inside, like there's something not jiving with me, kind of like Trump's assassination and his very real attempt on his life there. I felt some hesitation about the presentation, and I figured while she's still relatively new and doesn't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but she's going to be on the scene. She's going to be the real deal for a while, a guru, everybody listening to her. So I just thought I'd give my 2 cents on it and make even more enemies, I suppose, because whenever I speak my mind, people tend to get upset about it. But Isabella is giving a message. The core of her message is you can get out of the reincarnation soul trap. That the core of her message is basically very similar to David Icke, and the archons are shape-shifting beings. Well, here's one from 8 years ago. I should listen to that one and hear what she said 8 years ago. So anyway, the whole David Icke type thing and shape-shifting beings and everything is a lie, and she has learned the secret to getting out of this reincarnation soul trap. So my hesitation with her story is a few things. Number one, she's like super popular, super fast, and really being pushed. I don't know. I tend to be a little skeptical when I see someone a little too, like all of a sudden everybody's latched on her, and they're really pushing her content. I'm a little skeptical of that. And of course, there is a profit motive. She's got a book. She's making her living on this, so there's a profit motive, and there's nothing wrong with making a living on teaching. However, it's a little bit of a check against, because you have to acknowledge there's a profit motive. Now, the core of her message is teaching you how to get out of the reincarnation soul trap, because she has learned by, some people have astral projections and OBEs. She claims to have learned how to shoot herself out of her body, and she can do this like 4 or 5 times a week. She'll just go into this state. She'll shoot herself out of her body. She'll shoot herself past the astral realm and get straight to source. And at that point, you can just join with source if you want. That's her kind of presentation on how to get out of the soul trap. Will teach people how to do her meditation and how to get out of this reality and right into source. So, since she's got a video saying beware of false presentations, I'll go ahead and continue with that. So my issues, and I haven't heard everything that Isabella has said, and I haven't read her book, so it's a little unfair for me to make judgments too quickly, but it does seem like she's just coming on too strong. The other thing that is a little bit of a a hesitation to buy what she's saying is her own story about she like started out not thinking about spiritual things really at all, which she started out very materialistic, a party girl and a rocker, rocker chick in New York and the financial districts, and just really living a materialistic life. And it was her near-death experience from like drugs and everything that she was trying. It was that near-death experience that kind of turned her around. And that's where she says she first encountered Jesus, who was actually a shape-shifting archon trying to deceive her. And she tells that whole story. And then she learned this channeling technique, not channeling, this projection out-of-body technique to shoot past the astral, to see the deception that was being displayed to everybody. Because she's basically saying all these people that go into the light, they see loved ones on the other side, or they see Jesus on the other side, that all of that is a lie, that it's a archon shape-shifting being that's trying to lure you back into the reincarnation system. And this fits well with David Icke's whole presentation. However, she's giving the solution as learn my techniques and you'll shoot all past this and you don't have to worry about coming back. Now, one of the questions that I have, I guess I would be a hostile interviewer with my questions to her, but I'm not understanding how she, at other times, she has presented herself as a very old soul. Like she's been reincarnating to Earth like so many times before, and she believes in like a regular timeline, like an evolutionary time chart. So before humans were even humans, like evolved into the current Homo sapien state, like when we were like pre-animal type thing, she's been reincarnating on this planet. She's been here for a super long time, according to herself. So she's somewhat of an old and advanced soul. So my first question of skepticism would be, okay, you're this super advanced old soul, but you're still starting the first half of your life out as a party rocker girl doing drugs in New York and living materialistically. That doesn't sound like someone who's learned much after gazillions of reincarnations on this planet. Just to be frank. And then I'd have to ask her that. I'd say, wouldn't you have learned a little bit more than that by now? And why is it all of a sudden in this life, even though all of these other lives, these cajillion lives you've had on this planet as an old soul, you never figured this out until now? And you've figured this out now, and you're just going to make this your last life because you've figured it out. And you're here to tell everybody else to do what you're doing and buy your book. So pardon my skepticism, but I do have that certain level of skepticism. And that's layered on top of the fact that her message is being pushed almost artificially. Like it's just so over the top with how much I'm seeing her on everybody's channel and everybody's interviewing her. It just seems too much. So the other thing I would also question is, okay, so after having a gazillion lives and being an old soul, she comes to this life and just picks up the party routine and suddenly has a near-death experience, and now she suddenly has all the answers, and she's figured out that everything's a deception, a lie. So how, I haven't heard from her how she knows that what she's currently doing is not a deception. How does she know that she's not being duped with what she's doing right now? Like when she's popping out of her body and she believes that she's shooting past the astral, and she believes she's shooting directly into the void where the one source is. How does she know for certain that she's not being fooled in just a different way? I mean, if we could be fooled in one direction, couldn't she be fooled in this direction? I don't understand what's the difference really. I've heard her say that the love and the joy and the peace, the thing that is so common in NDEs, the things that we crave for that connection to God and that feeling of belonging and acceptance. She says that that feeling is artificial. That is archons putting it on us, which I've felt that. I've been there, and it does not feel fake. And it doesn't seem to me like any other intelligent being could replicate that without having an understanding of those feelings themselves. That's a hard one for me to swallow, is that these deceptive beings are able to give you, to telepathically shoot that sort of love and acceptance for you, and it to be a complete lie. But then on top of that, she's saying that what she's experiencing now with her quantum soul projection, where she quantum leaps out of the astral realm, she's saying that the love there is 10 times greater than the love that anybody else experiences. All these other NDE testimonies, all of them are nothing in comparison to what she's experiencing now with the source. And you just have to take her word for it. But I'm skeptical of that presentation. I'm skeptical of her words. I don't know that she's not being fooled. And I guess the other thing that I have an issue with this presentation, the presentation of the whole deception thing, and that everybody that you're meeting when you go to the light is just an archon that's shape-shifting. I have an issue with that because, and this is in no way, and I understand this doesn't refute what she's saying is true. It's just to have full disclosure for you to understand where I'm coming from and why I'm having an issue with this. And this might be really the source of my pet peeve. Is when I was in my mid-20s, my grandfather passed away. And before I'd gotten into a lot of studying and research of what happens with people dying, NDs and all that stuff, within a few days of his death, he visited me. He visited me very exactly like Michael Newton's books, Journey of Souls. And I had not read those books at the time. I knew nothing about Michael Newton or the Journey of Souls. But if you read his books on how people will get visited by loved ones after they die many times, and how after people die they will be greeted by loved ones, it was almost identical to what a lot of people have reported. So my grandfather passes away. I was very close with him in life. He was like my father. He raised me. He was the one person I felt true connection with, and I was grieving pretty bad after he died. So I'm pre-waking up. I'm still sleeping, and I see him like zoom in from like a million miles away. He just right in front of my face. He's just there. But I sensed that he came from a long distance, and he came at like super rapid speed. Like boom, he just popped up right there in front of me. It was really just his face. I wasn't seeing like his whole body. I was just seeing his face, and he was very happy and peaceful and loving. It was just happy. I knew when he was happy. He was very happy, and he was talking to me briefly, and it was, in the Michael Newton books and everything, it's like giving a reassurance the whole purpose for this is to give a reassurance for people who are grieving. And it seems like the only ones who get these messages are those who have a strong connection with the one who died. There's that psychic connection, and it's just a way of bringing peace to the ones that are left behind, because the grieving can be so devastating. So I received that, and I cherished that. And then I also had that God experience back in 2016, where, that's important too. But according to Isabella now, my experience with my grandfather passing away and coming to visit me after he died would be an archon. Just trying to deceive me. And same thing with my God experience. That would just be an archon shooting, false love messages into me. And that's a message that I just am not able to swallow. It's just too much. And I have a negative reaction to that message. So, in all honesty, if she is correct, I'll tell you that I don't like that message. So, there we are with that. I suppose I should give her more of a chance, but I don't know. I feel like she's being pushed upon me too. She's popping up in my feeds all the time, and she's on everybody's podcast. She's being interviewed by everybody right now. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. And I will say, too, that I've been thinking also about astral projecting and touching the spiritual side of things, and even the Mandela effect and all of these things. When I first had my God experience, I was really sensing this spiritual, very in connection with the spiritual side. I was feeling downloads. I was getting messages. I was elated by it, and I was seeing reality change right around me. So that all these things were great. I was loving that. But at the same time, so the Bible says that the cares of this world will choke the word. But on the flip side, the cares about spiritual matters and really connecting with that spiritual energy will choke your experience in physical reality. And it was doing that. Even though I miss that reality isn't changing around me the way it used to, I somewhat miss that. I have to admit, when I'm super focused on that, I'm missing out in some way. I am missing out on life in general and things that I need to be experiencing in this reality. So if I start doing the Isabella Greene practice of shooting my spirit out of my body every night and going to source, and starting to channel and doing the Bashar thing where I'm channeling energies and all that, I would be focusing my energy on that, but missing out perhaps on the experience I'm supposed to be having in this physical reality. I would say the biggest negative for me about the Mandela effect experience, and it almost makes me in some ways wish that I had not asked God to reveal something about reality to me. I mean, I just simply said, please show me something about reality you want me to know, and that's what started all this, because I felt prompted. I should have said, please show me how I can have the most fulfilling and abundant life as possible. That's what I should have done. And the heck with the Mandela effect. But I didn't. I asked to be shown something about reality. And God knows that I have a very obsessive compulsive personality, I latched onto this and nothing else mattered in my life. Nothing. Work didn't matter. Family didn't matter. Nothing mattered. I obsessed about, sleep didn't matter even. I obsessed about this and nothing else mattered. And because of that, I gave up some very quality moments that I still had with my son. He was 16, soon to be 17. This was the last couple years that he was living in our house, and I was going to actually spend time with him. And he wasn't a rebellious teen like so many. He was just a good kid, and he still wanted to spend time with me. And so many times I was too busy for him because I was wrapped up in understanding reality and the Mandela effect and doing Mandela Mondays. And I wasted a lot of time going down this rabbit hole where I could have been enjoying some more time with him, extending that time and that just those teen years. It would have been, if I could go back, I think I would have asked God, just help me enjoy my life, and the hell with this Mandela effect stuff. At this point, just looking back, I lost some real quality moments with my son because of my obsession over this thing. Perhaps life and the reason we're here is we're just meant to live it. We're meant to live it and have the experience, and maybe try to have the experience without getting too dark. Have this experience without becoming a bully at your workplace, or without becoming super materialistic, or without becoming a sex fiend that uses a bunch of other people for your own personal pleasure and gain. Maybe the purpose of this is just try to go through it without falling into the pitfalls and the temptations, and live through it without becoming a victim and developing a victim mentality or a woe is me, or everything being depressed about because there's those people too. You got people who are just like Donald Trump and just, in love with their own ego and in love with the material side of life. And then you've got other people who are extremely woe is me and depressed all the time and just wallowing in the mud of their own despair. And I mean, I think all of that's wrong. So maybe the purpose is just go through life without getting wrapped up into it to where you get snagged by it, but still enjoy it. I mean, there's a lot of experiences in this life that are golden, that are pure, that are good. And just like that time that I could have had with my son, I can't get that back now. And I really miss that I didn't spend more time those last couple of years. Instead, I got sucked into the Mandela effect. But so I probably will not be trying to learn Isabella Greene's out-of-body experience practice where she goes straight to source. And I'm leery to believe that the loved ones that greet us on the other side are actually grotesque, shape-shifting archons that just want to suck off my soul. I understand the allure to that message. I understand the interest in the louche philosophies, but I'm just not there yet. But I reserve the right to change my mind, and I'll give it more time. But as of today, this is my take on Isabella Greene, if that matters. I don't know that it does to anybody, but you know, this channel for me is just me thinking out loud and rambling on. I've been thinking since the Mandela effect has quieted down for me, I should write a book and finally finish that too, which would simply just be more of this, me rambling on. Not that I'm going to make money on the book, but something I could pass on to future generations so that they could just know how crazy their great 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 grandfather was. Who knows? But hope you all have a good day, and God bless.